this is the beginning of the Islamic lunar calendar. In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the way people will remember days was by events of the year. That is why if you pick up the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will see that often people have cited that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born on the year of elephants, Amul Fil. Why? Because that was a very significant event that took place in Makkah al-Mukarramah. So they would remember the years based on certain events that would take place. At the time of Umar al-Khattab radiyallahu anh, as the Islamic world began to grow and there was an expansion that was taking place, governors, Muslim governors were writing letters to Amir al-Mu'mineen Umar al-Khattab radiyallahu anh. Not only that, but there were certain ulama and muftis in all of these different cities who were issuing fatwa and Islamic verdicts. At the same time, contracts were being signed, uqud were being signed. And during all this time, there had to be a system where they can remember and they can put a date on their documents. Hence, they came to Umar al-Khattab radiyallahu anh. And when Umar al-Khattab radiyallahu anh sat down with the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, so many Sahaba gave different opinions. But what they focused on is that when was there a turning moment in the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And they realized that it was the hijrah. The time when the Prophet ﷺ made hijrah from Mecca to Medina, that was the turning point. That is when Islam came into Medina and they were able to establish themselves as a strong household and a strong and established community. This is where even after Fathul Makkah, Rasulullah ﷺ chose to come back to Medina and reside in Medina. And as we all know that he is buried, Rasulullah ﷺ is buried in Medina. So the point is that Umar al-Khattab radiyallahu anh decided that we will begin the hijrah calendar from the time when the Prophet ﷺ made hijrah to Medina. However, the question still is open, that which month do we begin the calendar year? And after deliberating and discussing with many of the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, Umar al-Khattab radiyallahu anh came up to the decision that when people go for Hajj, they go in the month of the Hijjah, and as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says in a hadith that anyone who performs, I'm paraphrasing here, these are not the exact words of the Prophet ﷺ, but I'm paraphrasing here, that anyone who performs a good Hajj and they fulfill all the rites of Hajj, he says, رَجَعَكَ يَوْمٍ وَلَدَتْهُ أُمُّ. These are the exact words of the Prophet ﷺ. They return as if they are a brand new human being. Just like a human being who has come into this dunya, there is no sin upon them. Likewise, there is no sin upon them. At the same time, Umar al-Khattab is saying that the next month that comes after the Hijjah is a month of Muharram. And hence, this is a new beginning for a person. This is a time where a person can reset. And living in this society, in this culture of this country, every time January comes around, we always talk about New Year resolutions. As a Muslim, when we come across to this time of the year, the month of Muharram, then we can use this time as a moment to have a fresh new beginning. And this is why we again need to go back and ask ourselves when it comes to these kind of matters, that what have I done? Where am I? Where was I last year at this same time when Muharram came? And where am I today? Am I a better human being? Or have I regressed in terms of my spirituality? Have I regressed or have I improved when it comes to my relationship with my family, my wife, my husband, my children, when it comes to my community members, when it comes to the haram I was committing a year ago? Now, am I doing the same haram or not? This is a very good time, brothers and sisters, to sit down and have a fresh new beginning. Sit down and ask yourself, what do you want to achieve in the next 1 year? We talk about this in Ramadan, we talk about this in the Hijjah, but we try to use and we try to find any moment that we can to have a fresh new beginning. So that is why we sit down and during this time, we try to ask ourselves, 1 year from now, if we are still alive, then when this next year comes around, we are in 2026, 2027 Muharram comes, I'm going to take an account of myself. The things that I has set out to do, have I accomplished those or not? Those are the things that we need to ask ourselves.